We are standing in Griffin's Lair Vineyard. This is a site that Bedrock gets Syrah and Viognier from. And we are within the Sonoma Coast AVA and actually the newly created Petaluma Gap AVA as well, which only came around a couple months back. First vines out here were planted in 1990 by the San Giacomo family. Not this vineyard, but Joan and Jim were the second people to plant in this area in 2000 after they bought the property in 1995. Even though it's thought to be a pretty young wine region, actually there were grapes back here as early as 1870. And by 1890 it had probably the largest winery in Sonoma County at 600,000 gallons crush capacity, and that would have made it maybe the biggest in the state too. So it's kind of curious in that even though there's not a lot of vineyards out here, for a lot of people it's just a commuter route, and we think of this as being sort of a backwater, very small growing region within the lower Petaluma River Valley. At one time it was noted to be a really, really good growing region. I think you're seeing that start to come back around. Part of what makes it so compelling is the climate. Because we're in the lower portion of the Petaluma River Valley, that little channel sort of funnels all of the winds that come ripping in through the Sonoma Coast and the Petaluma Gap. As the Central Valley heats up over the course of the day, you get that convective uplift. And at that point, that acts as a vacuum, a suction on all the cold air that sits out on the coast. And that gets pulled in through a low spot in the mountains, just south of Bodega Bay, sweeps all the way inland, hits Sonoma Mountain, which is just north of us by a few miles, and gets turned south by that mountain and the Cotati Grade. And all the winds come barreling out this river valley and sort of roll over all these hills on its way out to San Pablo Bay. So when Joan and Jim planted the property first in 2000, the majority is actually Pinot here at Griffin's Lair. It's all on the leeward side of the hill. But they were concerned that if they put Pinot on this side, on the windward side of the hill, the north-facing side that is, they thought the Pinot might not ripen because it is such a stressed site between the wind and the cold marine layer. And part of the reason that's interesting for grapes is that grapevines will actually shut down the stomata, which are the pores in their leaves, at average wind speeds over 8 miles an hour. And that happens because through photosynthesis, grapes respire water vapor, but they need to do so to continue photosynthesis, and if they lose too much moisture through, say, wind, they can't sustain that transpirational loss. So in windy conditions, and we'll see the same thing in Contra Costa, it's the exact same effect. Vines will literally shut down, stop respiring, stop photosynthesis, stop ripening, and preserve all that acidity, which means it ripens in a later window when it's usually cooler, hopefully in September. So all of that adds up to a wine. If you have the Bedrock wines, which is really dense, takes some time, quite tannic, really dark, but also really concentrated too. And it's always got that really beautiful floral black tea, black cherry perfume sort of thing that you wouldn't otherwise expect based on the color, but it's really pretty, all because of the climate.